Welcome back. Today, we're excited to have Gary from Orange County.
Gary.
It's like John from Cincinnati.
Yeah, right?
Say hi, Gary.
Gary.
Oh, hello, guys.
Yeah. Reno, I'm sure you don't recognize his voice.
What's up?
Mike.
Hi.
And
How are
handsome
you?
Charlie.
Hi.
All right, cool.
Right on, let's do this. It is, right?
It's a good time.
That's fun,
Except
right?
Dory smoke us all.
No, I-
Well,
you got good fucking stories. Sure,
I have
yeah.
so many stories. I'm so sorry.
Gary, Gary, yeah. Gary. Gary, you told me you were combing your hair. Remember on Weird Science? I never tossed off, Ma. I never tossed off.
I had a friend of mine who worked at Sears who was doing that. Well, he ended up, he's a doctor, and his office was over at Sears, but he ended up, he picked up a habit, right? So this is in the 80s. And anyway, so him and his wife both end up loaded, right? And he's just writing scripts, and she's taking them all, kind of doing the same thing you are, right? And they're doing it for, close to 2 years.
Wow.
I mean, she's going everywhere, fucking Santa Monica, you know what I mean? Pasadena, everywhere over town. And eventually, they just, I don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, they catch on to him and they drop a drug test on him. And he's like, fuck. And he pisses and it's dirty. And so they put him in this program. It's almost like a doctor probation.
Yeah, I've heard
and
of
he
that.
said it's fucking packed.
Yeah, it's
Like,
packed.
they
It's
go to
packed.
these
I work
meetings
for a
and
doctor
shit.
that specializes in addiction, and he's 6 months behind me in sobriety, or 6 months
Oh,
ahead of
why?
me in sobriety.
Oh, right.
And so
Wow.
I've had to see firsthand what he had to do to get his license back, which he gets it back within 6 months. But
Oh,
he's been
that's
dealing
great.
with it for 7 years.
They didn't even they put him in this program and didn't take his license right off the bat, but he was on testing. But he was, of course, doing
Yeah.
what
It's
we
all
do.
money for them though, with the medical board, and I'm glad that I'm not a nurse. I get paid like a nurse and I do nurse's work, but
Yeah.
I didn't lose my licenses.
Yeah.
And because I'm not a nurse. I never
Yeah.
had to take boards. So I get to work,
Yeah.
which I didn't think I was going to be able to do. I had that little whisper to my case manager in treatment, like, I just want a non-medical job where nobody dies. I'm just going to just go somewhere every day and just keep it mellow.
Yeah.
And that little get well job. I was there for 5 years and I'm running 2 companies. And then all of a sudden somebody comes up and says, hey, we used to work together a long time ago. I know this doctor, you guys are going to get along. And I was like, I'm not ready to go back in I was afraid. I was afraid to be around the fucking keys again,
Yeah.
even though I had to do the probation and all that scraping and trying to, they kept assigning me a new PO every 3 months. So I had to reestablish credibility and go to those offices where everybody's like still trying to hustle, and I'm just like, ugh. And she's like, you just got to meet this dude. And I met him and it was instant. I was like, oh, we're the same. We're both ashamed. And
That's
you know,
cool.
we get to take care of the patients. We're not taking care of their addiction. We're taking care of their bodies while they're healing from addiction. It's kind of cool.
That's
doing
great.
that.
Yeah, that's really
I
cool.
got to remember my place there a lot too, because I have a lot of opinions.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not paid for my opinion. I'm paid for their health care.
It is funny though when you're in your addiction and you like say OD and end up at Cedars, or like or you go into the hospital because you've got kidney failure from shooting speed or whatever the situation. They a lot of times just treat you like such a piece of shit.
And they
They're
get
just
that
so
empathy
over
with
it.
me, but also sometimes I have a knife in my pocket. There's a couple of people that they get that look, and when I'm at work, I'm on.
Yeah.
And that some of them have a lot of other issues,
Yeah.
not just like, could they possibly OD? Where's my Narcan? But that kind of thing. But sometimes like, this person is going to try and hurt me.
Yeah.
In the medical field, you get attacked a lot. I've been
Yeah,
attacked a
there's
lot.
a lot of that.
Really?
Yeah, man. When
Oh,
I worked
hell
in
yeah.
cardiology, the fucking demented patients, you go to take their blood pressure or put the leads on them for an EKG, and they're just swinging at you.
Whoa.
And you gotta be. And I was on pills, so like, I was like a
Slow
little bit
motion.
slowed down.
Same thing. No, that was the thing I heard growing up all the time. My dad, being a neurologist, was that there's a fair amount of like mental illness that you encounter that can sometimes, when it's on an extreme neurological level, get pretty fucking crazy. Like
That's gnarly.
I had a
they
patient
just
throw
start
a metal.
thinking things, People start thinking crazy thoughts, and
I had a patient throw a metal suggestion box at my head when I worked at the lab because we
Yeah.
didn't take his insurance anymore. I had a patient who I was protecting a coworker who was being verbally abused. So I stepped in because I'm big, and I'm like, you got to go. And he took off his bandage and wiped his blood across my face.
Oh, way.
yeah.
Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
And the Korean doctor came out, chased him outside, was going to kick his ass. It was a crazy day. It was a crazy day at Fullerton Cardiovascular, man. It was nuts. It was nuts because he heard the name that he called her because she was Cambodian. She was a Cambodian refugee. She was rad. So this chick, she came from Cambodia. Like they came and took her, they separate the family and steal all of your belongings or whatever. So she immigrated to the States through Georgia. So she had a Cambodian Southern accent. It was so funny. She was like, this is bullshit. She was cool as shit. And so this guy used that slur that you don't use. And because she wasn't getting his vein. And so she had poked him a couple of times. And I came in and boy, he got me.
That's
he wiped
gnarly.
his blood all over my face. And
Man. I would have just taken. Oh, fuck, man.
I got in fights with the other nurses at work too.
Shit.
Neither one of us got fired because
Wow.
we were both just as bad.
Would you work in a small space with a lot of people every
With
fucking
women.
day?
And there was always
and healthcare is such high stress, right?
It
like
is.
Everything is super tense. Everybody doesn't want to fucking be there. Like none of the patients, everybody's nervous. And it's like it brings out the worst in the most stable of people, the most fear and stuff like that. And then you get someone who's just a little hot, if they're running at a little bit higher RPMs in general, or a confused version of RPMs.
Nothing ever happened at the cancer center except one couple had sex.
None of
in
those
the
fools
hall
have any
closet.
energy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, nobody has any energy. Nothing
Yeah, no
ever
shit.
happened at the
Yeah.
cancer center.
You're
Everybody
probably
got
not going to get a lot of wilding and dialysis.
Benadryl as soon as they come in.
My buddy was when my
very
buddy worked in the
calm.
emergency room. He was telling me when they were like young, doing
Yeah.
their initial bullshit or whatever.
Yeah.
He was telling me that because I was like, "What's the weirdest shit that happened?" He said, "Removing things from people's asses."
Yeah.
And like a broken light bulb.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
fuck.
but then one dude
Candles,
came in,
flashlights, everything. Like I said, it gets sucked up into your bort hole.
yeah. But he said,
Back out.
Oh, God.
a
Bort
dude came
hole.
in. A dude came in.
Bort hole. I like that.
Your bort hole ate your mag light.
Damn.
So a dude came in, and the dude came in. He was friends with my friend's brother, right? And funny, like the doctor friend of mine, his brother's a dentist.
That's great.
But this guy came into the ER, and it was a friend of his brother's, and he was super fucking embarrassed. He's like, "What's going on?" He's got, "Well, I got a Tabasco bottle up my ass," and he's like, he goes, "How did it happen?" And he goes, "I was eating tacos in the shower and I slipped." Isn't that amazing?
But I mean, what are you doing?
It's just like, whoa!
That's fucking rich. The gnarliest story I ever heard about like the healthcare industry was I had this connection back in Corona where I grew up, and he sold weed and kind of like we all did speed. I don't know. He might have sold speed too. I don't remember, but he was a little bit of a trip, and his mom worked at Patton State Hospital, which was the mental
About
hospital
Pomona.
in San Bernardino.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
out like it was out against the hill,
Mountains, yeah.
in San Bernardino, and so his mom was like a cleaning lady there, like a custodian, whatever, And so there was this like high level security wing where they had like a bunch of cells, and they were like the doors, so I'm trying to think of the way to explain this for the listeners. So there were like every cell was every few feet was an opposing cell,
Right.
And then at the front of the cell was a door with a like a 4-inch by 4-inch glass window.
Sure.
And then there was a long hallway to another door with another 4 by 4-inch glass window.
Oh, like a
and then
sally
that was
port.
the cell.
Yeah.
So it was like there were really high risk people in there. And so every day she had to mop the main hallway, but then like one of the days of the week, they would crack the door, the first door, and she would have to mop up to their door, you know? And she would pass, you know, and she would kind of like glance in the windows or whatever and stuff. And usually she wouldn't see anything, but there would always be this one dude like looking out the window with this big fucking shit-eating grin, you know, like big fucking creepy, weird smile, right? And she couldn't help herself but kind of look over every day. And he was like, you know, big fucking smile, like, you know, big Cheshire cat grin, you know? And so the day came where they had to crack the door and she had to mop up to the door.
No.
And so she's like, fuck, you know, and she's like going down the hallway, mopping the thing. And she could see that he's in the window looking at her or whatever. And she gets up to the doorway and she looks up and he's there with this big shit-eating grin, but he had chewed his entire lips off. And so he wasn't smiling. He just didn't have, like, he was restrained and he just like chewed his fucking entire, it gives me fucking goosebumps every time I tell it. So he just literally was like, you know what I mean? Like just completely.
Like a skeleton.
Yeah. Like just totally like no flesh there that he had like all chewed away from his face.
Where was this?
Patton State Hospital in San Bernardino.
Is this still open?
I don't think so. There used to be that one, and there used to be Camarillo too.
Is Norwalk Metro still open?
Which one?
Norwalk Metro.
No, but I got a good story about that one. I did a panel in there one time. I did a fucking AA panel in there, and this when I was living in Orange County, this dude that was super hot about doing panels and you know, was on fire for AA, and he was like kind of a cool guy. This dude Greg, he was all tatted up and he's like, yeah, you know, come do this panel with me at Norwalk State Hospital or whatever, you know. And I thought, because I'd always heard there was like a detox there.
There used to be, yeah.
Yes, I forget what they call it. It has a name that if I said it, you'd know it. But he was like, yeah, it's not there. It's actually in the hospital, whatever. And so we go into the unit. It's like bzz, 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 like 4 fucking doors, you know. Like I was like, Jesus Christ.
You're not entirely sure you're leaving.
Yeah, I was tripping. And
some Silence of the Lamb shit.
So we get in there, and these dudes were fucked up, man. Like, I mean, they were like
touched
hard, and most of them were like super medicated, and just like there was this dude sitting real close to me. It looked like fucking a medicated Willie Nelson that just kept ripping these gnarly farts.
No way.
And they were like medicated, stinky ass fucking, you know. And we're sitting there trying to be like, you know, of service or whatever and stuff. I'm like, the fuck are we doing here? We ain't gonna reach these people, you know what I mean? And most of them were kind of just like meted out and kind of weird and doing their own thing. And there was like 1 or 2 dudes that were like super fucking energized, like front and center, like, yeah, man, like all fired up for this meeting or interaction, you know, but they don't get out a lot.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's a state hospital.
Yeah. And we started talking to him a little bit, and you know, one dude had been there for like 13 years. Another dude had been there for like 9 years. And like, and we're talking to, and the one dude who was super energized and crazy, he had like a wife beater on, and he had a shaved head, and he had like all these fresh fucking scars on his body, you know? Like, I was like, what the fuck, man? And I look over, and there's like a chalkboard, like a dry erase board over on the side, and there was like a list of like all these random fucking things, like hairbrush, salt shaker, like, you know, all these pencil, ruler, right?
Yeah.
And then there was like the punishment alongside of these things or whatever. And I'm like, what are you guys in here for, you know? And they all said like kind of in unison, they're like, we're pica patients. And I'm like, what's a pica patient? And they're like, we swallow things.
No
and
way.
Their thing was that the way that they acted out was they would swallow these fucking things like hairbrushes, rulers, salt shakers, and you'd have to cut them open and get these fucking things out. Yeah, it was
amazing.
It was gnarly. I was like, well, that's enough for me, fellas.
Good chat.
It was gnarly. I was like, dude, and I told my, don't ever fucking ask me to, like, you know, hey, we're all human beings, you know, and peace, love, and granola, peace and love, like Ringo Starr says. Yeah. But Jesus, man, that was a shocking experience.
I was in a mental institution for 3 months.
Wow.
That was not fun.
What was the craziest thing
Norwalk?
you saw in there?
Well, no, it was Brea Hospital Neuropsychiatric Center. And it was as a result of, they told me I was violent without remorse.
Oh, wow.
Because I beat the living shit out of somebody at Care Unit of Orange when I was
wow.
14. She lied about being at this particular Motley Crue concert because I knew she was fucking lying. I knew she was fucking lying. And yeah.
What did they open with? What song did they open with, bitch?
Yeah. I knew she was lying, and I jumped her from across the room during group.
Oh my God.
Right, and so I beat her up real bad, and so they held me down and gave me a shot and sent me to a mental institution, and they kept me in the locked adult unit for a full month because I wouldn't behave.
Oh wow.
And it was just sad. It was really just sad.
Yeah.
You were 14?
I was 14. I had my 15th birthday at Brea Hospital Neuropsychiatric Center.
man.
I did acid when I was in that hospital.
No
I learned
way.
how to make fucking cool as shit leather bracelets that my friend Shmuley still has the Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin leather bracelet that I made her when I was in the mental institution. It was just somewhere
You'd be
where
crafting up in that motherfucker.
Yeah.
huh?
yeah. And they would like give you Thorazine, and that was fun. And just you would make out with the cutest boy and just dumb shit. And it was just like treatment, really.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's just like rehab.
But they had panels that came in and stuff, and that was nice. But it was some bullshit because
Yeah.
my stepdad at the time would come to the family therapy, and I was like, I couldn't talk because he was the one that was abusing me at home.
Oh shit.
So it was just like, okay, I guess I'm here now, right?
Oh man.
It was just part of the daily, right? But it got me out of high school.
Oh, you didn't have to go to high school?
I didn't have to go to high school. So that was nice.
Thanks, Care Unit or whatever.
Care Unit in Brea Hospital kept me out of high school for 3 months.
What's the worst drug trip you've ever had?
That would be we stayed up for a couple days. Me and Shmuley again, man. Fucking me. We
Shmuley,
did so much
this
shit.
bitch.
She lives in Oregon now?
She lives in Oregon now. So Oregon. So I'd been up for a couple days, and I was over at Shmuley's house, and I was like, we should go camping. Because her sister had just sent down a couple of pounds of mushrooms from Oregon, and I'm the personable one. She's my introvert. Like, I collect introverts, right? I'm just like jazz hands all the time. I'm the fucking
Jazz hands.
I'm the Kool-Aid man, right? But what comes with that is like with all these friendships is like I have this like little gang of introverts that like want to kind of be in on the shenanigans, and she was always one of them. She was always the quiet one. And
You called her Shmuley?
no, her name is Julie. And
Okay.
anyway, we've known each other since we were teenagers and just did all the dumb shit together. And you missed the earlier part where like we fucked each other's boyfriends and went to jail for each other and just all the shit. And I said, let's go camping. We got all these mushrooms because her sister sent them down for me to sell them for her because I was the personable one. And so that was like my job that week or whatever, is to get rid of a couple pounds of mushrooms. Not that hard. They're really good mushrooms. She goes, I'll go camping with you if you do everything. You got to pack up the car. You got to do everything. I was like, I'll do it. And so I packed up everything into her Camaro. And we drive down to the Cleveland National Forest to this place I had gone to with my mom. It was rad. And I said I had to do everything.
Jesus.
I told her I would.
Must have been some good speed.
Always.
Lemon drop.
Yeah, well, we called the lemon drop duck butter.
Duck butter.
Get
I've
your
heard that
popcorn, get your
before.
peanuts, get your duck butter.
I've heard duck butter before.
It's great. You can
That's
snort
so
it, shoot
funny.
it, smoke it, eat it. It was good. So I set up the campground and everything's nice, and we were drinking our Zimas as we were known to do. We loved our Zimas because we could just take them on the go. We'd dump out a bottle. We'd dump out the Arrowhead bottles, those big ass Arrowhead bottles, and fill them up with Zimas. And so, that's why we didn't get picked to go on the fucking Price is Right. Those goddamn Zimas. Anyways, I always had these adventures. So we're down here at this campground, and we had everything set up, and we got the fire going and the tents up, and we take the mushrooms, and we're just don't like the taste of them, so we're smashing them between Oreo cookies, and we're shooting meth, and nothing tastes good.
Oh.
You
So
shoot meth and eat mushrooms?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
And
Yes,
drinking
sir.
Zimas, and we ate the mushrooms, and we just started feeling kind of lonely. It was just us, and we're coming down off the meth, and
You start to feel your emotions for real. Like on any other drug, as soon as you incorporate even weed, because like speed takes away your fucking feelings. You know what I mean? But then you do some other shit and all of a sudden you get in touch with
I disagree.
some kind of feeling.
Speed makes you feel like you're 10 feet tall, invisible, and bulletproof. Your
emotions, though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are gone. Emotions are gone. It's all bravado.
And they come back, and you're like, oh, shit.
So with the mushrooms and the Zimas, we start feeling lonely. And so I was like, well, maybe we should get somebody else to party here with us. So we got our glow sticks, and we started walking around the campground going, mushrooms. We've got mushrooms.
No way.
I remember like it was yesterday. Mushrooms. So we met this guy, and he's like, I haven't done mushrooms since college. And I was like, you went to college? That's crazy. I went to a mental institution. Anyway, he's like, I would like to do some mushrooms. I'm like, cool, give me $20. And so he came over to our campground and we gave him some mushrooms and he's hanging out with us. And we're just like, we don't like you, college boy.
Way.
And you got to go. So we sent him back to his tent. Me and Julie are sitting there. We're like laughing and talking. And we see this guy. We sent him on his way with one of our glow sticks. So we can see inside the tent, he's twirling his glow sticks by himself. Look at his asshole. How he's frying by himself. Oh, God. So, like, an hour or two later, Julie and I make a death pact.
Shit.
Like, it's over. And we have a big fight, like wrestling over the knife.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, there's one photo, I know I have it on my Facebook, and it's me standing on top of a picnic table, and in one hand I have a hammer, and the other hand I have a knife because I won. But we decided we were gonna drive the car off the ravine, and that's how we were gonna do it.
Oh, shit.
This death pact, and it didn't really go anywhere. We woke up naked, covered in mud, inside that tent. And it was the quietest morning you could ever imagine. And she was like, roll it up. We're going home. And I was like, man. Okay.
No way.
Yeah. We had 2 different suicide pacts that night. One of them was we were going to stab each other, but there was only one knife. So that wasn't going to work. And the other one was we were going to drive the car off the ravine.
Oh, man.
And we didn't do it. It was the quietest pack up and the quietest drive home you can imagine. And that was just another jam for me and her. Like, let's go to the Price is Right, she said. We'll get there. We'll stay up all night and we'll get there early. So we won't be late. We're 100% late. And we're standing in line in the daytime and, your skin looks like see-through,
Yeah.
And we've never done a game show before. We're dressed exactly the same, tight jeans, tank top, flannel. And because it was the 90s, grunge was really, really big at that time. So we're late. So we get into the second group and they give us our cool little name tag and the little price tag. Yes. And we're like, oh my God, it's happening. My grandma's going to see me on TV. Like, it's going to be great.
Well,
and we come around the corner and they're like, it's time for lunch. We're going to give you a number now. You can leave for 2 hours and then come back. And so we had left the drugs at home. So we went to the liquor store and got a bunch of Zimas, pounded those in the parking lot, and we come back and we take our place in line. Next thing you know, we come around the corner and there's all these producers asking questions. We're not interview ready.
Oh, shit.
We've been up all night. We were drunk. Like, what do you do? Nothing. I watch a lot of TV. Did not get picked to be on The Price is Right.
Because they're supposed to be like,
you're supposed to be personable.
Gary is an architect.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah,
I went to a mental institution for 3 months.
Reno's watched some game shows on speed.
yeah.
We would do, like, when I worked at the hotel, we would get free passes for Disneyland or the Star Tours, and I was like, Julie, let's fill up our bottles with Zimas and go on one of those Star Tours. So we get on this bus and come out to Los Angeles. And they drop us off on Hollywood Boulevard. We immediately find a pay toilet, and we're just like turning the pipe in the pay toilet. And this whole bus full of people is just waiting for these 2 chicks to get out of the bathroom. Come out of the bathroom.
Oh my God.
We did it. We smoked speed behind the Greystone Mansion. I mean, and then we eventually abandoned the tour at the House of Blues. We just refused to get back on the bus. And so then we had to call somebody to come pick us up in Hollywood. We were just sitting out in front of the House of Blues on the
for 2 hours hours waiting for someone to get there. Remember those days when you like no cell phones?
No cell phones at all. You had to page somebody and wait. These kids today have no idea how hard it was.
You had to find a pay phone.
But they were everywhere at the time.
Yeah, they were.
It's nuts.
You had to call collect, and then the name was the phone number of the payphone that you were at.
Yeah.
You have a call from 559-4142.
And you scream over that part. You're like, hey, it's Reno. Fucking, I'm stuck in San Bernardino or whatever.
And you keep paging and calling and paging and calling.
Yeah, totally.
And waiting.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's just crazy, man.
It wasn't all bad.
If it was all bad, we wouldn't have hung around as long as we did. I mean, at some point, the obsession, you lose the power of choice and you're just in it because you have no choice to be in it. But you definitely there's, like I've said before, like they're my stories, like they're not all great. Some of them are sexy and fun and wild and what I mean?
Threesomes. Such good times.
Meth fueled threesomes. Yeah. Nothing like it, right?
Nothing like it.
That's funny.
It's just so different now. It's just so different. The sheets are so clean.
That's so funny. I was at the gym the other day working out and I walked by the mats where people like stretch and lay down. I'm like, those would have been good back in the day for fucking. They clean up easy.
Do you ever find yourself like driving around and seeing a plan B?
A plan B.
Like I'll see like a office building where my old medical office was, and I see that there's like a turret with stairs in it. And I was like, I could sleep there and be safe. Do you ever see like your plan B? Like if it ever gets bad again, I can sleep in that stairwell and probably.
When I first got sober and I was actually when I met you guys and I met Shua, I was a waiter at that Il Fornaio off the 405, that big one,
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it was like kind of like a fancy step up gig for me because when I first got sober and I moved down to Orange County and I still had that like skeezy tweaker fucking gene in me, and I remember being like. I was working at that big, it's like there's that giant 24-hour fitness premium master club, and then there's that restaurant, and it was a super primo job. Like I had to wear a white coat, and you have like a table comb to like get the little extra stuff off the table. It was like super fancy, like a clientele and shit. But I remember like, trotting around there, and you had to have a little parking pass card, and I'd just come from years of trespassing in all these places to do all this foul shit, when I was running around the IE tweaking. And now I'm like, got this job. I got a car. I got a license. I got insurance. I got a parking pass to get into this big, complex or whatever.
In Newport?
In Newport, yeah, right off the 405 right there by the airport. And I just remember like sometimes I'll see a bathroom like, oh, I could fix in that bathroom,
No.
Like, the
bathrooms that had the doors all the way down to the floor. Those are my favorite.
I used to think that it'd be like, oh, subconsciously take a mental note. That's a bathroom I could get high in. Weird shit like that. Yeah.
You get your favorites.
Yeah.
There was a mobile gas station in La Habra on Whittier and Idaho that the gas station attendant would let me lock myself in the bathroom and sleep there.
Wow.
Place. Yeah.
That's
wow.
Yeah. I would unroll the paper towels and make myself a little pillow and put it down on the floor, and I could sleep without anybody having sex with me.
Oh, jeez. That's so hardcore, yeah. You're training for jail.
Yeah. Totally.
Training for jail. We were talking about jail earlier, about your first time going in. I remember my first time going to county was back when they used to, like, sleep people on the floor and pack people into the cells.
On the walkways?
No, not on the walkways.
Or you mean like the
9500? So this was Robert Presley Detention Center in downtown Riverside. It's like like Riverside's version of the Twin Towers. They had the old jail, and then they had this new jail that had those same kind of setup, like the day room things or whatever. And I got busted with some drugs, and back then it was just what I was using.
When you got arrested for drugs,
and but it was a really big deal back then. Now people are just fucking getting high on the street and doing all this crazy stuff. And I gotta say, I totally, like back then at least they intervened, and you had to have a little bit of a moment. You know what I mean? Am I gonna like go all the way with this, or am I gonna try to get, they arrest you physically, but then they also kind of arrest the process, and you have the opportunity to be like, man, this probably isn't the right way to be living. You know what I mean? And
I mean, I'm like, me and Danny argue about it all the time because it's not a popular thing, but I'm against the needle exchange, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you want to fucking shoot drugs? Make them. They have no value anymore, so they're fucking littered everywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
Down by your old office, all over fucking Venice Beach.
They're
everywhere.
Yeah.
Because if you come with none, you get 30 for a fucking week.
Yeah.
So they have no value, so they're littered. So, you know, me and my wife
they don't
argue
do that
about
in
it.
Riverside County either. Like, it's only in LA County that you could buy them at Walgreens and stuff like that.
You don't have to buy them anymore. They'll give them out by the fucking boatload.
Yeah.
They give you 30 if you come with none.
Yeah.
Which means they carry no value. So they're littered everywhere. If you have to make that motherfucker last, I had a cellie in Old Folsom. He had one that was 2 years old. 2 years old with 30 different dudes using it.
Oh, wow. Sure. That's so crazy.
But earwax greasing that plunger and you're sharpening it on a matchbook.
Earwax?
We had
you haven't done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this was pre-internet, and I only had assholes teaching me.
Hold on.
Listen, I don't even have a vein in the bottom of my tongue. Look.
Because you shot it out.
Yes.
Just
the once. Because then my tongue blew up at some park in Downey. Somebody told me, hey, you could shoot up in that vein in your tongue. God. And I was so fucking high, and my tongue swelled up real big, and it was amazing.
Yeah, but you're right about that. Like, pre-internet, you just kind of like get these stories from these other addicts that are telling you, like, you can do this or you can do that, and you just kind of roll with it. It's so crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
And I was part of that, too. Conning other people into my little schemes, like a deranged Lucille Ball. Like, come on, let's do this.
Deranged Lucille Ball, Vitamita Vegemin.
Just always had some crew of idiots willing to do whatever. So
but what's crazy though is the transformation.
Gary.
I mean, I've always known you sober. I've always seen you be such a shining beacon for recovery for everybody. Like, you know, down there, the women in your life and stuff. It's just,
I'll be with 46 of them this weekend in the mountains.
Oh, wow.
Just started doing retreats 2 years ago. And I love
nice.
it. Let's cry about it. Get in the car, bitch. We're going crying.
We're going crying.
Yes, let's cry about it. Heal your life and show somebody else how to do it.
Is Melinda going with you?
Yes, she turns 28 tomorrow.
Fuck, that's
my
wild.
Linda turns 28 tomorrow.
Linda,
wow. What is this? What? Just so the people understand, what is this thing?
One of my home groups has a retreat, and they have
that.
a summer one and a winter one, and it's all women, and we even have trans women that come, and we do all kinds of activities. And I've served on the committee 3 times. After I went to the first retreat, and I was terrified because I just went 2 years ago. It's the first time I've ever done that, and I loved it so much. Like sitting around a table talking about God for like a full-blown devil worshiper to like, you know, come full circle. Like I'm sitting around a table talking about God and how you came into like a higher self, how you healed your life. Like if somebody who comes from the line of trauma that I come from, it's like it doesn't fucking define me. It
There's a lot of
childhood
and is
God,
trauma.
Oh, dude.
I'm sorry. Is God a necessary part of it? Or is it just a part of it
whatever.
that happens to be? It doesn't matter what it is.
I believe that creation doesn't stop creating just because you call it by a different name. Like it's all happening whether you're into it or not. And,
that.
For me to say like my first day on the job at the cancer center, assisting in a bone marrow biopsy, never been involved in any kind of surgery, whatever, but my hands knew what to do. Like that's part intuition. Or maybe it's like fulfilling a purpose.
Yeah.
So I don't have to fucking know its name. I just have to know, like, I know when I'm on the right path. And so for that's a higher power. It's like trusting that gut. Because every time I never trusted my gut, I knew it later. Like I knew that motherfucker was cheating on me. I fucking knew it, but I didn't listen to my gut, right?
Yeah.
It's something that's inherent. So I don't have to call it God, but I choose to call it God.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious.
Yeah, I have no problem calling it God. I was raised around Catholicism. My dad's from Italy. I was taken over there and baptized in Italy, where in the neighborhood he grew up with. My godparents are also my grandparents, who is also my namesake.
Is that right?
Big Gennaro.
Is that a thing? Like grandparents being godparents? Is that a thing in Italy? Or?
My dad had, not necessarily, no. My dad had 3 kids when we went over there to all get baptized in Naples, and we just had kind of so many people to work with.
Yeah.
But, it was really cool. But the thing is for me, it was always super ingrained in my heritage and my culture.
Yeah.
And, that I never had a bad experience around it. But I also didn't go to church so much that I learned all of the negative shit and stupid shit that people are like, that's not true and that's not right. I didn't really get exposed to that. I just got exposed to like intermittent pieces of it, positivity and stuff like that. And so when I came to a point in my life where it was like, I always kind of felt like God was there for me because I'm not dead and I'm not in a prison cell for the rest of my life and I'm not on the streets in a tent right now,
There's 4 people at this table who've had methamphetamine habits who don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
That sure in the fuck ain't me. I can
Straight up.
Like, because I didn't have any hang-ups. So it's not like I wasn't like, I'm really going to get it together. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, it'll be a wrap soon.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's sad, but you know what I mean? Like, it's much easier. I mean, doing time is very easy for me. Very easy.
Human beings can get used to anything.
Yeah, but you get used to that where you don't have to fucking answer to anybody.
Yeah.
Or do anything. You know what I mean? Like,
that's total freedom.
Yeah.
But they didn't promise me that one. They just said, just sit down and shut up. And I was like, okay. Then I saw like women who had the same scars as me and women who had the same background as me. And the difference between us was 9 months of sobriety. And I saw that they were happy.
Yeah.
That was the only difference, that they had 9 months of sobriety and they were that happy at 9 months. That's all I needed to see.
Yeah, straight
up. And it
up.
took years to get away from my own ego about God and the churches and all that shit because I had too much education.
You look for all these the disease really looks for
100%.
all these reasons. I was just texting with this pseudo celebrity guy that I used to party with. Died like earlier this month here in LA, and he's a trust fund kid, whatever. And some girl that kind of like we hung out with texted me like, "Hey, did you hear Jason died?" And she's this girl who's just been like in it for a long time, but she's kind of like got her little hustle because she's hot and people take care of her, and so she's up in some big building on the Wilshire corridor, dying of this disease. You know what I mean?
His
in
building?
this golden gilded cage, And I started talking to her, and she's just like, out of treatment centers and all this stuff, and I have a major resentment and all this kind. And I'm just like, girl, she's like, I think you just had kids and you snapped out of it. And I'm like, bitch, I fucking am in meetings 3 days a week. I talk to I got a couple sponsees. I work in steps. I'm on my knees every morning. Last Friday, I felt like I had a half an aneurysm, so I'm on the floor doing breath work. You know what I mean?
Careful with that breath work.
Me out. Why?
Careful.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is it?
Because you're denying your brain oxygen.
Yeah.
Careful.
Okay. Noted. Dr. Gary.
That'll be $50. All services are $50.
Gary.
Have you ever went on a bender and you woke up somewhere you had never been
I've
before?
never had a blackout. I remember every fucking car I drove into a ditch.
Really?
Every single thing.
Really? You've never blacked out?
Never blacked out. Oof. I did go blind for 20 minutes.
What?
Nice shot. It was a nice shot.
Jesus Christ.
That's a good one.
Wow.
Can I get another one of those? You're like,
can I get
another one?
Never
fucking
lost
Anaheim,
memory?
man. Anaheim and that skinhead dope.
Fuck. I can't believe you were running with those dudes.
I
was
can't
busted
believe it
with a bunch of
either
them,
because I'm half Jewish.
So many of them are fucking dead. And
Oh my God. They're killed by the police. I mean, when I got sober, I started seeing all of my friends, in air quotes, just somebody was killed over a $20 bag. And somebody was killed. Death by suicide. What do they call it when you get the cop to shoot you?
Suicide by cop.
Yeah, that. I mean, they're all in prison.
Gary.
probably knows Lily.
Who was on here?
Yeah.
I don't know. She ran
No,
around
I
Anaheim.
really, really liked that. But I think she's young.
She is young.
She is young. So I haven't done any speed since early 1998.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
when it was still good.
God damn,
I haven't done
it
any
was
coke since it was
good.
the good ether-based coke of the 80s. So I came up. The first time I did coke was January 11th, 1986.
What?
I know the exact date.
She's like, I was listening
I
to
was ready.
Do You Really Want to Hurt Me by Culture Club.
No, I was listening to Look What the Cat Dragged In by
Poison.
Nice.
My best friend, her name was Gary also, and she was 3 years older than me, and I was begging her, like I was so ready to do coke, and we stayed up all night doing coke. And like the first line that I did, I thought I was gonna die because I couldn't swallow and I couldn't breathe, and it was so amazing. And we stayed up all night and we were eating our coke boogers. This is so great. And then we went to the dealer's house the next day, who was my dealer until I eventually got sober.
No way.
Yeah.
Never got busted?
No, he's still around. I just found him on Facebook. I heard he had a brain tumor, but he survived.
Wow.
And he never had sex with me. And when he took my jewelry, he held on to it. He didn't pawn it.
An honorable drug dealer.
An honorable drug dealer. He was so cool. But we went to his house and he didn't have any coke. He had meth. And that was it.
And then it was like,
that was January 12th, 1986.
Wow.
The first time you did speed was in 86. Fuck, you're like a Kavinan.
That I know.
Back in the day.
That's ahead of
so
the
I
curve.
saw all of it. I saw all of the dirty crank. Like you try to smoke that and you just be shitting and barfing.
yeah.
It was so gnarly.
No, but you know what you said.
But there was never like a ton of it. And when we got a hold of a ton of it, it was just kind of like fun. So I was like 14 and this dude Doug, he's like, let's go to Anaheim. You got to come to Anaheim with me. I'm going to rob this guy. And I was like, okay, let's go. God. So I just sat in the car and he did the robbery and we ended up just going to a baseball dugout and snorting speed. And then we went over to the fountain where I lived and put a bunch of soap in it and just, I was a virgin.
Took a bath.
I just wanted to do drugs, man. I just wanted to do drugs and protect my hymen.
Oh my God.
And I did for years. It was really hard. That's why we had to go door to door.
You and me both. And how I failed.
I don't, because if you did it in 86, that was the P2P dope. That was a whole different
86,
world.
by the way.
We saw all
that
kinds of, we saw glass.
That's
right,
advanced. That's advanced placement.
No. 86 is like before they were making the pill dope, the popular shit.
Oh, we had it all.
And you were out here, right? Oh, that's OC.
Yeah.
So, see, that's West Coast because East Coast, man.
You guys didn't have any of it.
In the 80s?
You know who did have it in the 80s?
Everybody was just like, hey,
weirdly,
what do you like to do?
We could get cross tops from a magazine.
Yeah. I used to eat
We used to get cross tops from High Times.
I used to buy them at the bowling alley.
They sucked, kind of.
Yeah, I'd sell them. Fucking,
that's what Miss Elliott was talking about. Those great
Black Beauties,
and cross tops and all that stuff. I came at a weird time, and it's like I got friends who were just about 5, 6, 7 years older than me who were like, it's all about those pills, you know, and those ludes. Yeah. And I'm like, what happened to the ludes?
Yeah.
The ludes were fucking non-existent. By the time I
never got
there,
a lude.
By
the time we were getting loaded I started
it was
shortly after what you said.
Cocaine?
They were gone. They were outlawed.
They were gone, but they were still around. So in like 1989, 1990,
Bill Cosby had used them all
I was at a
up.
party with the Butthole Surfers, and my buddy smoked a lude, and he knocked himself out on the sink in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
And we didn't get any Black Beauties, but we got cross tops. We would snort Notos. We were drinking Robitussin like it was water.
That's so crazy.
Just takes all the bones out of your body.
Oh.
Is that what it does?
Yeah. It just
Robitussin does what?
We're so stupid.
It dissolves your... Oh, it just makes you
feel like you don't have any,
You
know what I mean? Bones in your body. You don't need any bones.
Like, what do you mean? It takes the bones out of your body?
It takes the bones out of your body.
Like, that sounds awesome. How does that do that?
You drink
you gotta literally,
this was the old Robitussin.
I'm an imbecile.
Robo.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I heard that the Mormon kids do that shit.
Sure.
That buddy of mine moved to Salt Lake and came back. He's like, yeah, they robo all the time.
You know that Mormon kid killed my old boss.
What Mormon kid?
Rick Nicholson. He owned the lab that I worked at. His kid, this Mormon, went on his sabbatical or whatever down to South America, and he came back wrong, and he fucking murdered both his parents and the housekeeper last year. Yeah, last year in Newport Beach.
Ooh.
Murder in Bonita Canyon.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's heavy, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Send your kid to South America. That's kind of crazy.
What happened to that kid?
I don't know. Shit.
Dude, they put the fucking...
I mean, if you're down there trying to spread your, lily white U.S. version of some kind of offshoot Christianity, probably somebody didn't like that.
I didn't like the Mormon funeral.
Yeah.
Clearly he went down there.
Singing was terrible.
Someone put the zap on his head.
I love that, man.
You're
that
terrible.
Singing was terrible.
The Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
There was no tabernacle. It was just old white ladies in Newport Beach.
Have you ever heard of the
singing
Mormon
terribly.
Tabernacle
No,
Choir?
the Mormon Tabernacle Choir
That would have
is
been nice.
legit.
Yeah,
That's
they
good.
are.
I think
Nice.
they do that like ding ding a ding 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 a ding 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 a ding.
Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done.
Yeah,
And then they come in with the holidays.
it's the
Ding,
sound
fries
of
are
rich
done. Ding,
people
fries are
spending
done.
money at the holidays. That's all it is. Just like ha da 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 da.
You know what though?
This little
this
ring
sounds
will
corny.
fix my marriage.
That sounds corny, but some of that fucking Christmas music,
It's great.
it also is another way that and this sounds lame, but it is another way that I know that there's a God. That shit fucking, like some of those songs, you're like, wow, that's just heavy. You know what I mean?
No, I hate Christmas.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, dude, Silent Night.
Halloween is my Christmas.
If Silent
No,
Night
try listening
sung
to-
by fucking I can't remember whether it's I think it's Bing Crosby Silent
Bing
Night.
Crosby, that's where I was
Because
going to
usually
go with it.
Son of a bitch.
In my house, there was some Bing Crosby. You
No,
know, there
there's-
was the white,
That guy
there
was
was the
a son
kid
of a
beater
fucking wife
one,
beater,
and then a
kid
little
beater.
of the.
There's only one
and
of
then
his
a lot
kids
Sinatra.
says that he was abusive. The rest
Yeah.
of the kids say that was bullshit, that he was just kind of like he was a tough bastard, but
Oh, he was
But no,
probably a prick. But
the
That
song
was the
is-
style of the time.
the song, yeah, it was just different times.
listen, it was a
Just
tough
different
era.
times.
time.
No dads were nice.
The song is, and I challenge you to listen to it at Christmas this next year and tell me different, is "Oh Holy Night" by
Oh,
Bing
for
Crosby.
sure.
That fuck motherfucker's like, ring your heart out. That's good.
I like the version done by Cartman.
Cartman.
I'll Be
From
Home
South
for
Park.
Christmas is the one that's my favorite Christmas song, hands down. It is the absolute most heartbreaking because it's the World War II song. Where it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
the guys who were fucking not coming back for Christmas. So it's that whole like I'll
A lot
be
of
home
those
for
songs,
Christmas,
yeah.
you can count on me. And it was all that era. You
My
know?
shit's "Merry Christmas,
Dude,
Baby" by Otis Redding.
Oh,
That's the best
beautiful.
one.
That's a
know that
nice
one.
one.
It's got
That's a good
dude, it's just this classic soul song, but with the fucking bells and shit in the background.
Yeah.
I gotta check it out.
Christmas music
I
is,
love
is all
Christmas
fine
music.
and good, but have you ever heard "O Fortuna"?
Yes.
Oh, Fortuna?
Hell
I
yeah.
have
You
not.
guys into Halloween music?
Fuck yeah.
Fucking
The-
vampire shit.
Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
I busted that song out in my pole
that O
dancing class,
Fortuna?
and everybody was
Oh,
so
that's
quiet.
that is a fucking great song.
First time I heard it was
That's an
watching
incredible
Excalibur.
song.
I have a video of the doctor that I work for wearing a costume of the Pope on his Segway coming down my hallway
To that
while I'm
song?
playing "O Fortuna." Yeah.
No way.
Yes, I do. I have a video right here on my phone. I'll show you. I'll show you after the
We can go-
podcast.
We can go out on that tonight because that's
Reno,
that's
do you
one
ever-
of those ones that
I'll
are,
take vampires
public
over Santa
domain.
Claus any day. Anybody with me?
Reno, do you ever
I'm
do
not.
you ever do speed and just
Have
go?
kids and then come back to me on that one.
I'm
Wait,
in
vampires
menopause,
over
honey. I'm
Santa
in my
Claus?
crone phase now. That ship has sailed,
Reno,
my friend.
I
Have
was
you ever done
obsessed with
speed and
Dracula
fucking
as a
just
kid.
and walk somewhere really far?
Oh, dude, no.
Do you ever drink anybody's
speed and
blood?
walking, that's a whole show for me.
I mean,
Because I would
not
straight up,
intentionally, but yeah, a little bit.
I was all over the place, dude. I would be in Orange County. I'd be in fucking Riverside. I'd be in Corona. I'd be in Ontario. And if I didn't like
Oh,
what
this
was
motherfucker
happening,
had a car.
if I didn't, no, I'm talking about with no car.
you're so
I would
bad.
put together like a run, a hustle. We're gonna go down here and party with these people, and you know, with speed, it always gets fucking weird at some point, you know.
What?
Yeah.
And I would just be like, bye. And I would just take off like wherever the fuck I was.
On
And
foot.
I'm just crafty as fuck. So I'd walk for a long ass time, jump on a bus, get to this spot, but I was.
Really?
Yeah. I was.
What was the one that you were saying?
This
the
one
other
on
night?
Wood used to be like, where the fuck you always walk into? This big tough motherfucker from Corona. I don't want to say his name. He's dangerous. But he would he was on parole and he had to have a job, and he was married to like a straight wife that worked at like Stater Brothers or something. She was like a manager, but he was just a crazy outlaw fuck. And so he was on parole, he was back out, and he had to have a job, and so he got a job delivering newspapers to like stores in the morning, you know, the big stack of newspapers. And so he'd be on a sick one running around doing that, and he'd catch me like walking down Magnolia and La Sierra, like which is like way the fuck out there. what the fuck are you doing out here? Get in, you know? And I'd be, because I would always bump into somebody I knew.
Yeah.
And it would be another adventure somewhere else.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
you weren't afraid to walk.
I wasn't fucking worried
Dude,
about it.
we
People
had a-
will sit around and be like, can you get us a ride? Hey, I want to get out of here. Fucking, I just be like, bye, Felicia. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, yeah, I just bounce.
We had a buddy of, I'm sorry.
And I lost it.
Oh,
Anyway, yeah. But I was a walking fool like Forrest Gump on speed.
What
Your
was the one other
Chevrolet
night you said
legs.
you'd
Yeah,
start
my
like?
several legs.
What were you saying the night you?
He would
yeah,
say
but we
to
got
me,
good calves now, don't we?
Yeah, for real. He would say to me like 2 or 3 times later, he's like, I know what you're doing. You did too big of a shot and you're walking it off. Is what you're doing. And I'm like, no, whatever. It was just fun crazy. It's just dangerous people, man. I'd just be like, fuck, I'm out of here.
It made me think there was a kid we knew who always was on foot. Always. His name was Lee, and he had a dog named Huey. And Huey was kind of like a pit bull mix. And he would be
No leash.
Lee, yeah, no, and Lee was a sweet dude, good dude, worked in like art crating and like, but he'd be that dude who you'd always like if you needed a job, you just be like, hey, what do you got going on? Because he'd always have some sort of a connect to like a job that was like, we're painting some house in Santa Monica. You want to go like paint the basement room? Be like, fuck yeah, I do. I want to do that tonight. Actually, let me just do this. Let me just do this. Let me just smoke a little, and then we'll get out there. And Lee used to just tell you he would call from payphones and give you inaccurate times of when he was when he would be able to show up.
Son of a
like
bitch.
he was like, he'd be like, oh man, we're all about to go out of here. We're gonna, or whatever. We're getting fucked up. You want to come? You come back. All right, cool. All right, I'm on foot. I got Huey. I'm in Santa Monica. I'll see you in 20 minutes. And we're like in Echo Park. And he's just like, all right, man, I'll see you in 42 minutes. I'm over here. I'm in Long Beach, but I'm coming down. Where are you? Like Lee, we're at the rooftop of a loft downtown. We're gonna be here for another half hour. Just wanted to tell you, you were blowing us up. Just wanted to. I'll be there in 25 minutes. What do you mean? I'm walking. And that was that. And he just walked everywhere and never showed up anywhere what he said he did.
What kicked that off for you? Where you asked me if you ever did speed and walk anywhere really far?
There's this dude Bobby from Glendora, which is like it's the
know where it
wealthier
is.
town above Covina, right? And these dudes were a few years younger than us, but we were all in action. And one of them was my friend's younger brother's friend. And these two like rockabilly kids, they start fucking around and shit. And then I'm like, and one of them, like kind of, it didn't last too long. He just couldn't handle it. But Bobby was like on one. And then he just got to where he was annoying, like always, wanting shit for free and shit. And I was driving down like Grand Avenue, like a main street, and he's blazing, like walking fast. You know what I mean? I'm like, ooh, fuck. And it was fairly hot out. Not 100 degrees, but it was, number one, you're on speed. It's already hot.
Yeah.
But he was, you know what I mean? It was
Being
probably
on
like,
speed when
The
it's
tater
hot is
tots
so
are
fun.
Did you
done.
get a good sweat on? Because I got a good sweat.
yeah.
You can imagine what I look like.
Yeah.
I mean, good sweat.
so he's on, he's like,
suck on my thing and taste my juice.
he's like blazing down Grand Avenue, and then like a few hours later I see him and it's not really that far considering it's been a few hours, but he's on a different main street and he's in Covina. It's probably only about 7 miles, which wasn't that much time, but all I could think is like, how in the fuck, because he was quite paranoid, and when he's walking on this main street, now I see him like on the next big
That's
main
another
street
thing,
over.
though. It shakes the paranoia, too. If you just take
maybe.
off on foot, it does. It breaks you out of that, too.
But
if
if
you're
you
like all fucked up
Makes
and
you
paranoid.
feel
and
wild.
start-
It makes you feel free a little bit.
You just kind of like, you all of a sudden you're like, okay, like I'm not attached to this fucking crew of criminal fucking weirdos. Like, and I always had lots of friends everywhere. So I could like bounce from a spot in Hollywood and then come over the hill and then be in Studio City partying with normal people again.
fucking bop around. Bop around, I miss.
Well, no, Bobby had. Anyway, so I saw him twice in about a 3. I don't know why it threw me off. So, I mean, granted, I was high too, but I saw him walking really fast, and I'm like, and whoever I was with was like, "Hey, there's." I'm like, "Nah, fuck, keep going." You know what I mean? Like, And then we're like, I'm saying it was only maybe 7 miles, but he's in Covina now, and I see him on Citrus. I'm like, oh, up the street from my shop. And I'm like, oh, and whoever, they're like, damn, there's Bobby again. I go, don't fucking say, keep going or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I don't see him for a few days. Then my other friend's like, yo, did you hear about Bobby? I'm like, no. And he said, Bobby, whatever he was doing, he thought somebody was following him, and he had worked his way down. There was a Kmart on Citrus, a really big fucking Kmart, but he had wandered his in there, right? And thinking somebody's following him, and apparently somehow worked his way into
super sweaty from a 7-mile walk, just coming in there all fucking.
Dude, he stayed in the attic of Kmart for 2 days.
Oh my God!
It opened and closed. He was just hiding.
Oh.
He had went in the back area, where the employees go, and somehow worked his way up and hung out. I don't know where he pissed, shit, nothing, but he was up there for 2 fucking nights.
Oh my God!
Not 2 whole days, but like 2 nights.
Hiding is my favorite. I got to hide from my roommate. And like by the time he fucking caught me and kicked me out, there was just like nothing but cups and jars of piss in our apartment. Oh my God, that poor guy.
Gnarly.
Where would you hide?
Under the bed.
Under the bed.
Yeah, which was a water bed.
Oh,
A water bed frame with a regular mattress in it, and so I had pulled out.
Yeah.
Pulled
that's
out.
a total tweaker thing.
Yeah, you could.
A
you
water
could pull
bed
up.
frame with a mattress in it that's not the right
No,
size.
there was
of the bed.
there was all kinds
twin
of
of the
room
king.
around.
Totally.
So I was just under this slat, the plywood.
Yeah.
Hiding from my roommate because.
And what would you do? Cover the sides? So you
I
couldn't
was
see underneath?
under the. Okay, so there's a mattress on top of a piece of plywood, and then there's that space underneath. So I was
So you
hiding
lifted
in
the
there.
plywood up and
Yep,
climbed
and
inside.
I would just hide.
And that was all closed
hide.
in around the edge because
Yeah.
it's a water bed.
Yeah.
And you hear him in there like.
And I would just
fooling
be
around.
quiet until he left for work. Yeah.
You didn't hide much, right? You weren't real paranoid either, were you?
I
wasn't paranoid. I just
wasn't
didn't want to pay
super-
rent.
Oh.
You didn't want him to catch you and be like, hey, bitch, where's that $375? That's about how much it probably cost back then. I wasn't a real paranoid person of the cops and other shit like that. I was paranoid of fucking like
Humanity.
like people that were like fucking
Humans.
hair trigger people, like you know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot of that in the Inland Empire.
There's a lot
like I
of
said,
it.
a lot of that like crazy Peckerwood, fucking
There's a
all that
shitload
shit.
of them out there.
And or if you end up at a fucking pad where a bunch of essays and they're tweak, you know what I mean? And you're just like, yeah, this probably isn't the right move to be in this spot right now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sometimes it would be imagined, and sometimes I would be like, well, better safe than sorry. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here, you know?
There's a certain amount of paranoid schizophrenia that comes along with people that do meth.
For sure.
My ex-boyfriend had it, and he was real fun to get high with.
Oh, fuck.
Man.
And they always want to do it, too.
Waking up, and he's fucking handcuffing me to him with handcuffs he doesn't have keys to.
Oh, my
and
God.
And he says that the dirt in his Thomas guide is where I'm meeting the government. So I finally get him calmed down. It takes hours where I'm like, I'm not involved with anybody. I don't even fucking have keys to our apartment.
Hours.
I don't know how to drive. I don't have keys to our own apartment. Like, this guy was a fucking piece of work, right? I was with him for 7 years. He's 10 years older than me. Beat the living shit out of me all the time. So we had to call his mom to take us to the Army Navy surplus store to get unhandcuffed.
No way.
Yeah. That was one day. And then the last time that motherfucker hit me, he made me walk home from the park. And I was so pissed.
No
and he let me in the house, and he came after me in the kitchen, and I had just gotten a new block of knives from Finger Hut. And fucking he came at me in the kitchen, and I fucking stabbed his ass.
Nice.
I stabbed him in the
Atta girl.
arm. And he had to go to the hospital on Christmas Eve. And it's my favorite joke is that it was okay because his family was Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't celebrate Christmas. And I got blood out of the carpet with 409.
Oh, wow.
And that was the last time he hit me.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
nice.
you teach a
Yeah.
motherfucker a lesson. You know what I mean?
Fucking handcuffs.
You know, and there's so much of that shit, man.
People's judgment
going
tightens
on.
up when they see their own blood.
For real.
People are like, well, this might.
He's all laying on the floor
abuse
going
thing
into
behind
shock.
that, You're just like, what
it
the
was just-
fuck, man?
It's
Like,
just in the arm.
I remember did you ever see those pictures? Did you ever see those memes of like R. Kelly standing up over Gayle King, like fucking screaming and hollering, you know, in the middle of his interview, and people like made memes of like me sitting in my connection's house waiting for my bag while he's yelling at his old lady because she's like sitting there so still. I remember being in fucking one of my this family I grew up with that grew up down the street from my house, and they all ended up being speed dealers and weirdos, and one of them was schizophrenic. And he lived in this shot out apartment in Corona, and I was kind of like going down there to cop, and they're fucking tooth and nail, screaming, hollering. He's got this big pile of dope on the table. We're just like, dude, just fucking make a couple bindles and break us off so we can all get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, right.
And it just gets to the point where I just, you know what? This is fucking out of line, dude. I'm fucking out of here. You need to fucking get it. You know what I mean? That was before my disease was so gorilla sized.
Yeah.
I still had a little bit of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're fucking out of line, dude. That's your wife, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
so
fucking
proud
out
of
of
you.
here. And I saw this. I checked him pretty hard, but he was a lot older than me, and he was totally unpredictable, so I wasn't going to get physical with him.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing one of the other dudes that was there waiting to cop at another place later on. He's like, hey, little homie, I got a lot of respect for you that day. You stood up and dipped without waiting for your shit, man. That fucker was out of line, And you see so much shit, man.
That's like a once in a lifetime. I've been in so many fucking hostage situations. Like, I'll show up for this. I'll show up and just be held hostage until I can get my shit. Where I was like,
right?
Okay, I guess I'm in for a penny, in for a pound.
I've had that happen.
Now.
I've had that happen. I had it happen with a weed dealer,
Oh,
a weed dealer
God.
in college, just one of those dudes who you were like had all the trappings of a fine, not fine, like I'm interested in Grateful Dead shit, but I mean, like a normal weed dude. He looked like a hippie kind of. He was a nice guy, kind of. And then he would just get into it. He'd get into it. His gal would come back. And, weed dealers, you always got to spend more fucking time than any other fucking drug dealer. Because for some reason they think it's like you want to hang out or you have some spiritual kinship with them or whatever. And they're like, oh, look at the weed. And you're like, oh, that's awesome.
Look at the
You
hairs
wanna
on
Yeah,
it.
look at the hairs and the
I mean,
crystals.
this is the old days. This
Fuck
is like
you,
if you
man.
got, and on the East Coast in the 80s, if you got any good pot, it would be just a phenomenon. You would just be like, oh my God, I got Jesus Christ's pubic hair here.
Yeah.
What do you look at it, feel it, smell it. And so you do that and you'd smoke. You want to smoke a bong hit? Well, I'd rather do that at home. All right, well, we're going to do it here. And then you do that and you smoke a bong hit. And
You're
then
in charge, buddy.
and you're just like, I just need to get that bag out of your hand. That fucking bag you have in your hand, I need that bag. And if you give me that, I'm out of here. We have no, and so whatever. And then it happens and da 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 da. But I always found that it was so uncomfortable because inevitably with this one dude, never was any with anyone else. It was just that he and his old lady would get into arguments. They just get into really uncomfortable arguments that would get a little fucking
and they just
rowdy.
go like,
and you're just like,
no one's like, hold on a second,
God.
hey, let me take care of you real quick. I got to deal
Yes,
with this.
exactly.
It's never like that.
No.
You're just like, hey, what about that?
Fuck you, fucking
Hey, remember
bitch.
how I?
It's crazy. And then they're calling him, like, especially like on the whole like Peckerwood crazy trip, which, whatever. That's your thing. That's your thing. But there's always this thing too where like, because there's like a few words that you don't say to somebody that's been to the joint.
Yeah.
It's like you don't call somebody a bitch or a punk because it's fucking on right there.
Yeah.
And I mean, generally, to a man, you just don't say that
by
to
the way,
another
calling
man.
anyone a punk is not going to work.
But the whole like kind of Wood thing is calling you the N-word.
Yeah.
That's like the, and the old lady would always throw that at him, like to draw him into a fight. Call him the N-word.
Yeah.
She'd be like, you bitch, you punk. And then the N-word. And then all of a sudden, like, tables are getting flipped over. And you're like, Jesus Christ, man. Oh. And that's when I would go walking. Bye.
Dude, these fools would seriously argue about the dumbest. I remember they'd argue about the dumbest shit, like just vegan shit. You know what I mean? Like some fucking vegetarian, like,
is this coconut milk, bitch?
I mean, this is a fucking.
Better not
this is
be
like
fucking.
That's probably how it is now.
Yeah,
probably
right.
more like this is more like 90, 91 than it was 80s, I guess. Really, when I was this particular person, and he'd just be like, girlfriend would come back and be bummed about some kind of how he hadn't fucking taken the eggplant that she had salted, and put it in to start roasting for whatever fucking chutney they were making or whatever. And I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This is getting between me and my weed. Like,
chutney.
We're talking about weed.
Oh my God, that's so
you
crazy.
and your chutney.
I never want to talk about chutney.
No, I know. Exactly.
The worst is the coke dealers.
Dude,
They're
coke
worse than
dealers are
anything.
the worst.
Oh, yeah?
Well, the worst is me around a coke dealer once I've had one bump. It's just like, hey, guess what? We've got a lot in common.
Did I ever tell you I was molested?
Yeah, exactly.
You start dude, and that goes back to
I
all
look
that
like
trauma.
a preppy guy,
just
but
wanting to
we've
be
got
like-
everything in the same.
You just fucking reminded me of the craziest fucking art. Dude, this is so fucking gnarly. So I'm in front of my friend Anthony's house, and I'm on one, but I see it's a Friday about 5 or 6 p.m., and I see somebody like across the street and about 4 houses down setting up for a yard sale. And I'm literally like,
that's Keith's shit right
yeah,
there.
I'm like, hey,
Treasures!
coming in on
They've
the
got
ground floor.
treasures.
Bike number 112 coming down
it's
the
like
driveway.
being the receptionist when they start Microsoft. Hey, what? I'll take this.
Yeah, totally.
But I go over there, and there's just a lot of weird shit. You'll love this. The one thing I'm like, what is all this velvet? And she's like, they're velvet curtains. As God is my witness, they had to be 18 to 20 feet high and probably 40 feet across.
They stole them from a fucking theater.
God. They were like a theater, but I decided I wanted them.
Bob Baker Marionette Theater got robbed.
Yeah. And Anthony and them are tripping. And they're like, dude, come on, because we're going out. Yeah, right?
What the fuck are you going to do with all this
It
velvet?
comes with all these weird animatronic bunnies.
I'm like, what do you want for these? What do you want for these curtains? Like, you want the curtain? Like, fucking look at all that velvet. And I'm thinking, like, it's funny because I own the skate shop now, but at the time Anthony worked for, I'm like, fuck, we could definitely use these for the windows of the shop, where Anthony works. I literally was thinking that. But dude, anyway, so that's how I met these people. But right when I met them, I'm like, oh, these people are on one, So we strike up this thing, and it turns out they're friends with this woman who cook crank. We got to get her on here. She's fucking cheap.
She's still around?
Yeah, my friend Diana. But her and I, probably the best time I've ever had on speed was running around with her. I told you before, like cooking dope and
yeah, she's the one she fell asleep and you didn't wake her up because you just wanted to see what happened while she was in the middle of cooking speed.
That was Ruben. I let her fall asleep and fucking did little Scooby Doos. Yeah, scoop them bag. I had to fill that bag up. But I was at that house waiting for Diane, and you know how when they're cooking that shit, they're
like, gone for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12
they're like,
hours. Yeah.
Okay, meet me over there at 3. Next thing you know, it's fucking 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm over at that house, and this dude, and the thing I remember is he was a grip. He's the first grip I ever met, but he, obviously fucked that off. But him and his wife, and he had 2 kids who were great, but he had this wife who's like fucking just a vile human being. But dude, they get in a fucking fight there. And this is gonna sound terrible, but I honestly wasn't that aware that there was so many of these, like, so much like, molestation, and so I honestly didn't know. I knew it happened, and I've already been to prison at this point, but I didn't know it was this common. Like when you go in AA, you're like, holy fuck, everybody has been.
Yeah.
But dude, they start fighting. I mean, I'm probably 25 or 26, and these people are probably 38, 36, 38. But dude, they get in this huge fucking fight. I'm just waiting for the connection to get there, right? But they're getting in this huge fight, and I was kind of like you. I was like, yo, can you guys cool it and shit? Fuck him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Dude, and then this lady is like, she goes, oh, are you still mad because your daddy touched you?
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, oh, my God. And dude, she's just beating it. I mean, on and on. I'm like, I've got to get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
God.
I mean, it was fucking awful. It wasn't like she was making it. You could tell.
Yeah, she was just grinding it in.
Dude, it was fucking awful. Awful.
Yeah, it's brutal. I've seen that kind of exchange before. It's pretty fucking heavy. And I do want to say, like, when I said that about, like, Pecker Woods, no disrespect to any Pecker Woods. I just want to say that fucking loud and clear. I'm just sharing my experience with this shit. But these other crazy ass Featherwoods that I knew from Riverside, they used to do this shit. They got taught this hustle by this friend of my brother's that he was like he like went away to college. He came back. He was like super slick dude, like fit, like 80s, like just it's like good looking,
like a bad guy on the Karate Kid.
Totally like a bad guy on the Karate Kid, the Cobra Kai dojo guy. Super fit, slick. He came back. He had a coke habit. He was just like way off the rails, and he ended up getting into speed. And he ended up getting super crazy, and he just took shit to the hilt. And he ended up getting shot and killed by his girlfriend, and it was this whole gnarly thing.
Corona?
Yeah. But he was one of my older brother's really good friends. And he would do
Dario's?
No, my older brothers, Mike and Matt, who were my older brothers.
Oh, okay.
They grew up in my hometown. They were kind of like super party guys, but drinking and smoking weed. And they would do lines occasionally, but they weren't like
out of hand.
Yeah. But this dude went off the rails, and he started like he would be one of those dudes walking around town with a trench coat looking to get into something, And he was just like, God,
Tweaker, you can spot some space.
Wicked fucking hustle. Yeah, big time tweaker you could spot from space. You're like, motherfucker, you're not invisible. It's 2 a.m. and you got a trench coat.
You're riding a bike with a microwave under your arm.
But he would do shit like walk around town super early in the morning to see like people's cars running in front of their house warming up to go to work and jump in their fucking car and take off. And be out in the hills in El Cerrito,
which is cowboy shit.
Yeah, total like outlaw cowboy crazy shit. But he taught these girls that I knew that were a little bit younger how to do this thing they used to call, I never did it, but they all like came up tremendously and had all this shit all the time. They called it going on a route. And a route was, this is the worst, like most evil speed thing ever. They would like look in the paper for obituaries of people who had died and like go to that fucking person's house.
Oh, wow.
And, go in this old person's house and get stereo equipment and album record collections and clothes and all this shit. It was out of control. And, but yeah, they had these, they all lived in these like converted sheds behind houses or like a house in Riverside where like the porch is like enclosed, but it's not like insulated and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like tin walls.
But you go in that motherfucker and it's got all this shit from those roots where it's like, speakers and big old vinyl collection. And it was just crazy.
But if you don't sleep, the spiders can't get you.
There you go. Right.
What about Anthony? Anthony's paranoid of black widows, and he was living in a shed behind this lady Sharon's house.
Oh, shit.
Our friend had went to jail for murder. And his grandma and Anthony were real tight, but Anthony was just all assed out, and he was paranoid of fucking black widows. But he slept in the shed, but eventually he had to move out of that shed. He moved in another one further back in the yard. So
he relocated.
Hey, I've never said this before, so he's on one, right?
Got an upgrade.
Dude, Sharon was just like bleeding heart and always wanted to help Anthony out, and she's like, and Sharon's boyfriend had just had it, and she's like, you can't stay here anymore. So literally the grandma would be like, okay, you can't stay here anymore. And she'd be like, I'll leave the car unlocked for you. So he could sleep in the car. But he had moved from one shed to the other. And he worked at the Leroy's Boys Home thrift store in Azusa. So he'd have. Can you imagine having a speed habit and having a job at a fucking thrift store?
Oh my God, dude!
But I would spend an entire day with fucking $5 in my pocket at a thrift store trying to find just the right thing.
Me too.
Damn.
There's a lot of options. But he would zip himself up.
That's for real.
Those hanging.
Right. Proof.
Those hanging. You're like. Luggage, so you unfold it, your suit's Anthony would zip himself up inside one of those so the black widows couldn't get him.
No
sleep in.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's diabolical.
But the grand finale of that, he gets kicked out of one shed, then he's in the other. Then Sharon tells him, okay, I'll leave the car unlocked. So the car was unlocked and her boyfriend was a baker,
Oh, shit.
So he'd leave at like 4 a.m. Her boyfriend. So Anthony heard him leave, and our other friend, Hee Haw, was... He has one of them dudes. He's always making something, repairing something, making something.
Yeah.
But he went on a wingding of making hammocks, right? And he had given Anthony a hammock he made
to stay off the ground for the spiders.
No, just on GP or whatever. But Anthony heard Sharon's husband leave, and he was sleeping in the car. It was all uncomfortable. He goes, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go kick it in the hammock." And he hung it between 2 trees, and he's laying there. He's out. And all of a sudden, he said he just fucking felt himself hit the deck and like knocked the wind out of him. They hit the ground. He's like, fuck. And he looks up and Sharon's boyfriend's there and he goes, I told you have to leave and take your hammock with you.
Oh, that's funny, man.
I would never leave a shed. If somebody gave me a nice, safe, cozy little shed, I would.
She did,
at
but
that
like her
point, I would've
boyfriend got
stayed
burned
there
out on
as
it.
long as I could.
I got to get him on here. He's got some great ones. But
Dude.
are we good?
Yeah.
You guys good?
Yeah.
We talked a long time.
Yeah.
We did nicely. That was
Was it 3 hours? Fuck.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh no!
No, it's great.
That's what we want. No, you
Yeah,
kidding me? That was
that one's
fucking
might
great.
have to be edited down and condensed down. But
Gary.
you killed it. Those were incredible stories.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Yeah.
I always like to end it on the positive, man. You're a shining light in recovery, and somebody that I
love
respect
that.
tremendously.
It's a good life.
Yeah.
It's
More sober
unbelievable.
in Reno. More
I
sober in Reno.
don't give a shit about time. I give a shit like how you living.
Hey, at midnight.
How you sleeping at night? Like, did you fuck a newcomer today? Like, that's what I care about.
Hey, the night's still young, right?
Where's the where's the what's the fucking newcomers?
I'm just thinking.
I have to
You know-
join. I would have to join the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But I was just gonna say, they say that at midnight we're all tied for first place. You know, when it comes to time,
shit.
at midnight we're
Yeah.
all tied for first.
All right.
Yeah, I
well,
love
thanks.
my life.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Yeah.
you, man. Thank you, Miss Gary.
Thank you, Miss Gary.
Gary. Oh, Gary.
Thanks for listening to another episode of It's All Bad. Follow us on Instagram at It Is All Bad. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let us know who your favorite guests have been so far. We're on YouTube now. How do you find us on YouTube? I always forget. Search It's All Bad Podcast on YouTube. We're there because I found it. You can send us an email if you have any questions at itisallbadpodcast@gmail.com. And keep an eye out for our Patreon. We got some gear dropping. We're going to have call-ins. We got all kinds of cool shit coming up. Thanks, guys.
Lick the tip.